guys, welcome back to another between episode, I guess. I don't know. Should I come up with an intro for these or like an official name? Should we have those for these things? Probably, right? I feel like most we probably should. I'll get on that. How about that? So it's just me. Hi, I'm Cassie. If it's just your first listening or watch, well, really this is watching because these are YouTube exclusives. So just watching. We didn't film last week because we did the Oddbirds grand opening, which is our most viewed video. That's very exciting. It hit triple digits. So I'm kind of popping in. We don't have one this week either. We're kind of redoing our schedule a little bit. Becca's finishing up grad school. So she recorded one with Sarah because her and I's schedule just wasn't aligning. And then I'll record a solo, full episode for a week eventually. But this, so it's April 27th right now. We're not putting out an episode this week. So I figured I'd make sure we had one of these short in between episode ones, So I don't really have these ones. We don't really do updates or what are you reading type things. We just get right to it, which I need to remember. I don't know. I think I need to work on the intros for these. I don't think coming in cold works for me very well. I think I need to write it down. So that might be a goal that I set for myself to come up with some sort of intro to these YouTube exclusive between the episode things. I don't even know what to call them. But today I want to talk about the pros and cons of the different reading type. So we have, of course, audiobooks. We have hard copy books, and then we have Kindles. I do all three. And, with hard copy people, there are hardback people. Ironically, Becca and I are not those people, even though it's called Hardback Life. There are soft cover people. There are people who destroy the books, break the spines, all of it. There are annotators. I am none of those people. I like a soft cover. It still feels weird. I don't know why. And I like them to be as nice as possible. I used to dog ear, but that was I didn't know I was hurting the books back then, I was younger. But, I don't really like hardcovers. So anyway, we're going to talk about just the different reading types, I guess. Like I said, the pros and cons of all of it, since I do a little bit of all of it. I'll start with hard copies first. I was a die-hard, you read it hard copy or nothing. Not actually, just for me personally. I understood that other people liked Kindles and audiobooks. I just didn't do it. I felt I love, don't come at me for this, but I like the way a book smells. I also just like the feeling of having a book. And I really, until maybe 2.5 years ago, I think Andrew got me my Kindle 2 years ago. Around now, maybe 3. I'm not sure. Around 2.5, 3 years ago, whatever. It's not that important. So really, and even then, he was like, why don't you see if you could borrow your mom's old, because my mom had an old Fire tablet, I guess, and they had Kindle. I do have an iPad, but it's big, I didn't want to read on that. I was like, if I have to read on the iPad, I'm not going to do it. I'm not into that. I tried my mom's Fire tablet, whatever, to see if I liked reading. It was about the size of a Kindle. I was like, let me just see. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I read very quickly, and I really liked that I could bring. It's a lot easier to bring places. So then Andrew got me a Kindle, and I have become, I love that. I don't know how else to say it. I love it so much. I have Kindle Unlimited, so there's a lot of books. I know that's I say they're free books, but it's $11 a month. But if you read one book a month, you think about it, a soft cover is, I still don't like the way that sounds. A soft cover is probably $15, $12 on the lower end, right? So you read one Kindle Unlimited book a month and it's already paid for itself. I read a few, so it's worth it. Even if for 1 month, I'm oh, I haven't gotten any Kindle Unlimited, which really hasn't happened much. I think there was maybe 1 month since I've gotten my Kindle. I threw in a couple poetry books on Kindle Unlimited. So it's always worth it. My husband, we do other subscriptions, whatever, but this is the one I feel is worth the money the most. So I really love my Kindle. I read mostly on it. I do still do hard copies of poetry books, classics. I do all my indie, not all, that's a lie. Most of those are on Kindle Unlimited, so I do those. But I do, if I go to an indie store or an author signing and they're a self-published or an indie published author, I will usually buy theirs. I do like supporting authors as much as I can with actual books, but I I researched this because I was a little upset with myself at first when I started reading so much Kindle Unlimited for more independent authors. I was like, I really hope this benefits them still somehow. I would hate to be reading their book and they get nothing for it. But they do. Figured out, I guess it's similar to like, guys, I'm not good at explaining this stuff, but I guess it's similar to like when you listen to music on Pandora or Spotify, you're not buying their music, but they get paid for the downloads or for the streams or whatever those words are. I don't know. But like very similar to Kindle Unlimited with those authors. So I do feel better about that. Now, like I said, I do still read some hard copies. Mostly these are my classics. Down here is poetry. No, some poetry. I don't really know. I have to reorganize it. I probably should stop showing off. It's not that good. But I never understood this until I did. Like, I don't know another way to say it. I have read all of the SJM books, Agatar, Throne of Glass, Crescent City. I have never understood shelf trophies until those series. And now I'm getting them. There's 3 more in Throne of Glass, and then I have all of SJMs. I think I'm going to do the same with Fourth Wing. Again, I read them all on Kindle. So I already own them, but I want hard copies of them. I don't know why. Somebody explain to me a shelf trophy. Why do we want them? Why? And I'm not, like I said, I'm not knocking it. Look at all that's SJM, SJM, SJM. I'm not knocking it. But why? Why do we want them? Because I want them. I just don't know the reasoning behind it. So I have like a good mix. I really got to stop like pointing to it because I really do need to reorganize it. Stop. Don't judge me. So no matter what, if I go into a small bookshop, an indie bookshop, whatever, I will always buy something. So that's where I tend to get a lot of my indie authors because they're like local authors to the bookstores I'll go in. That's what I do. Like I said, I am looking for the shelf trophy. So I went on Independent Bookstore Day. I went to one in Stroudsburg, East Stroudsburg, and I got another SJM book, but I also got technically poetry, Dante's Inferno, because I'll come back to that. But I got that. And then I also got another book of poetry. So I will always get something. That bookstore is a used bookstore. So it's kind of hit or miss what you go in there for. The first thing I always look for is To Kill a Mockingbird because I just want an old copy of that. It's one of the hardest to find. As I mentioned a million times, it's the most banned book. So it's the most burned book, but it's my favorite. So yeah, I will read still soft. I don't own any hardbacks. I love softbacks. That's not true. I probably own them, but I don't like them. I try not to own hardbacks. I'll only buy softbacks. Especially as I've gotten more into reading, like maybe I have hardbacks, but that was like this becoming my entire personality. Reading's always been a big part of my personality, but it's completely taken over in the last few years. And then audiobooks are new for me. I tried a few times, like here or there, I'd try an audiobook. I just really wasn't investing in it, but I also was like just listening and doing nothing else. You know what I mean? Like I was just sitting there and listening and it wasn't doing it for me. And I was also reading I was reading fiction. So I prefer to read it because I get real visual in my head. But listening to them, I wasn't really able to do that. So this year for 2026, I had the New Year's resolution of giving audiobooks a fair shot. So I did start with some fiction ones. I think one of the first ones I listened to was a novella by Frida McFadden, which threw me through a loop because I didn't realize it was all satire. And I'm listening to this and I was like, what is happening? What is happening? Then I read listened to The Wife Upstairs. Oh no, I forget the author. I'll put it here. I forget the author. I listened to that. It had been on like it was on my Kindle Unlimited actually. And I was like, let me try. So I listened to that. And I enjoyed that. And then I did a couple nonfiction. And I was like, okay, I think if I'm going to commit to audiobooks, they have to be nonfiction. I mostly listen to audiobooks as I'm driving to and from work. So, or I guess anywhere I'm driving. As long as Andrew's not in the car with me, then we'll listen to music. He doesn't want to listen to my books, guys. So I gave more nonfiction a try. And I think that's good because then when I get home from work, it doesn't matter where I am because it's not in a story. I'm not at this cliffhanger. You know what I mean? So I can pause it. I can get out of my car. Whereas like when I read The Wife Upstairs, I paused it on my Bluetooth and then I put my headphones on and continued it. Like I couldn't stop. So that's how I've had to go. I will be interested to compare my year-end review from Goodreads, whatever they call that, to see like am I getting many more books in than I did last year adding in audiobooks. I feel like I am. I mean, already I think I'm halfway through what I read altogether, like my whole year last year. Let me see. I read 80 books last year, maybe. I've currently read 38, like finished 38. Obviously, I'm currently reading other ones. So, yeah, I think it does add to it. But again, like I know some people listen as they sometimes I listen as I do chores around the house. I guess it just depends on what I'm doing. I don't have wireless headphones, so maybe if I had wireless, I would more because again, Andrew doesn't want to hear my stories all the time, which I get. So, I should invest in wireless headphones. Maybe that'll be a game changer. I don't know. So, I get really upset with people who say audiobooks are not reading cuz correct, I guess. It's not the act of reading that you're doing, but you're still taking in literature. So, if you need to tell yourself that is different than reading, okay, you can, but I'm taking in the literature in another way. I don't know. I don't like that. It's not like I'm watching the movie version. I wouldn't say because I watched Titanic, I read the book. That's very different because the book and the movies we know are always different. Whereas, like, I don't even know if Titanic is a book, guys. But when I read The Help, if I had listened to The Help, I would still say I read that book because it's verbatim what the book is, you know? I don't like the whole books aren't reading because our ancestors didn't memorize hours upon hours upon hours of history and folk tales to pass on for oral retell not to count as taking in literature. I'm sorry, they just didn't. I know. So, yeah, we're just taking it in another way when you listen. And if you need to, in your brain, call that not reading, that's fine, I suppose. You know, you could say you listened to it, you didn't actively read the words, but it still counts. You're listening to the books. It's always been a pet peeve. Even before I listen to audiobooks, I never diminished that that's still reading or still taking in the literature, if you want to be specific. It wasn't for me. I didn't know how to process it that way. You know, to be fair, last time I had tried an audiobook was pre ADHD meds. So maybe the ADHD meds helped me. I don't know. But I do. I take in literature, read any way I can now. Like I said, I was a hardcore book or nothing only a few short years ago, guys. I haven't changed, I wish I could say I learned it younger. And again, not that if you were listening to an audiobook that didn't count, that still counted. I would still say audiobooks are still reading. I just don't like them. Kindle is still reading. I just don't like Kindles. Now I take it in any way I can get it. Any way you can learn something new, you can take in literature. I think you should. I just think with technology nowadays, like, yes, I still stand by I don't want books to go away. I love hard copy books. I love bookstores. Ever since watching You've Got Mail, this is where it stems from. Tom Hanks, thank you. Meg Ryan, thank you. And all of those little bookstores were closing. I've had this sadness about that. That movie is a big reason why I was like, no, I have to read the hard copy. Like, bookstores are going to go out of business if I don't read the book in a hard copy. Obviously, I don't read enough books to keep all the bookstores in business, but I try my hardest to my husband's chagrin. But yeah, so I do still, like I said, I will listen to books now. I will read Kindle or Kindle Unlimited, especially Kindle Unlimited. But I think I will always go back to reading with book in hand. There's just something about it. It's a different experience. I really like the Kindle. I can read with the lights off. I can read at the beach. I can read at a park. The paperweight doesn't have a glare, and that's great. And if it's windy, my pages aren't blowing everywhere. Like, for convenience, and I know Kindles themselves are expensive, but the amount of money you save, because getting a book on Kindle, like, it might be $5 versus like the $15 physical copy, Like, I hate to do that because I do want to help authors and I do want to help small businesses. Obviously, I don't want to see Barnes and Nobles go away, but I will always try to buy my books at a smaller business first. And like I said, even if I don't need anything specific, I'm still going to get something if I go into one of those stores. Barnes and Nobles, I'll leave without anything. You're fine. But if I go into a Meg Ryan, You've Got Mail bookstore, you bet I'm walking out with something. You know what I mean? So yeah, I really do try to take in a mix. I'm really interested on other people's thoughts because, like I said, I was so diehard hard copy only for myself for so long. Just fully reject that audiobooks are not reading. I'm sorry. Don't come at me with that one. I'm not going to stand for it. Audiobooks are reading. You are taking in literature. Period. The end. That's one. Everybody has their own opinions, but if that's one, I'm going to stand by your opinion is wrong if you tell me it's not. Sorry. I get on Becca when she tells people their opinions are wrong. You're wrong for that one. I'm sorry. Everybody, whatever. I'm going to get off my high horse for that. So I like a little bit of everything. Like I said, I mostly do Kindle. Audio's new for me. Car rides, they're great. I also, I listen to it in minimum 2 times speed. I have gotten up to 2.25 times speed. So I get through these books really quickly. But I've also realized how long my commute is because I can finish a book on that speed in a day or two, half my, I've mixed it up. I've started listening to music on my way to work to get pumped and then books on the way home. I was going through them a lot quicker, but I've slowed down because I missed music. I really had kind of weaned it out of my schedule because of that. So I'm a little, like I said, I'm a little bit of all three. I'm very interested in hear other people's opinions. Nobody ever comments on videos, but please comment and tell me what you prefer to read as. And tell me your opinions on all of it. I want to know, if you don't use one or the other, why? How do you get your reading in? What do you think is the best medium to get your literature? I'd be very interested to know. Yeah, that's all I got. It was really meant to be a quick one, kind of just talking about how I read and also just giving some opinions. And like I said, I really want your opinion, guys. I really get back to me on the shelf trophies. I'd love to know if there's any science behind that. Why do we want those trophies? I've never been I like to win, don't get me wrong. But I've never really cared if I got a trophy for winning as long as I just won. So I don't know why I like these and again, never got it until my SJM books. The obsession. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm obsessed. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I don't know. So this is I told you, be released this weekend. We didn't have an episode on the 28th. Me or Becca will have a solo next week. And then whoever doesn't have it next week will have it the week after. So with that, please comment, subscribe. This is a YouTube exclusive, so that's it for those. Try and look at our other videos if you like this one. We do author interviews. We've done a couple bookstore grand openings, and then we just talk books. We're really trying to hype up our older videos to get some more views. So go look at them, guys. Okay? All right. So I'll see you next time. Bye.